that.
I'm going to be very, very graceful. Try not to call Noah Lyles out of his name or anything like that.
I call him out of his name. He a bitch. When this speaks, this is exactly what I see.
Believe me when I say I'ma pull up when the stage drops. Believe me when I say she don't look good. Believe me.
Yo, what it is, everybody? It's your boy Srotonn, but you can call me Tone. All right, so we're gonna watch Noah Lyles can't hide his jealousy. Now, I be trying so hard not to do videos on niggas I don't like, but this video just looked too good, bro. Let's get into it.
So Noah Lyles is back in the news cycle, and he finally gets exposed for the jealous athlete that he actually is.
Right.
Or at least, I think that's how a lot of people are framing it. So for those who do not know, Lyles last year had an infamous quote that really struck a nerve in the NBA community because he believes his biggest gripe and his biggest concern is that NBA players and NBA champions get to have this label of being world champions, and that's what really gets underneath his nerves.
You know, the thing that hurts me the most is that I have to watch the NBA finals and they have world champion on their head. World champion of what? The United States? That is not the world. We are the world. We have almost every country out here fighting, thriving, putting on their flag to show that they are represented. There ain't no flags in the NBA.
Yeah, shut your bitch ass up. I fucking hate that nickel. All right, listen, I get it. Let's take a step back. Let's be real. Let's have a real moment. I get it. You're technically not facing the rest of the world in this season. But if the best of the best in the world comes to the NBA and have won all these awards, Defensive Player of the Year, MVPs, MVP of the finals multiple years in a row, doesn't that mean and these teams beat them? Doesn't that mean they're the best? Maybe not. Maybe I'm tripping. But let's keep it going.
I don't believe I've actually given my official response to this or my opinion on the whole situation ordeal, and there's two ways in which I could approach it. The first one being the technical, official, and by many people regards, the correct way of associating and responding to what Noah Lyles is saying.
Right.
And that is, yes, it is true. The NBA champions
like
should not be able to officially be identified as world champions because they do not go around the world and match up with other countries for them to receive that labeling, that title of world champions. And even though, yes, in your heart of hearts, you may genuinely believe the NBA champion on a year-to-year basis would more than likely beat every other team around the world, we still have to have the formality. We still have to actually play the games for the labeling and title of world champions to be given to the NBA champions. So,
and I understand, and that's true. But I feel like you just jealous and you dick fried it. That's it to me.
Technically speaking, what Noah Lyles is,
but I'm sure he's better
to
get into it.
But if I were to do that, and if we were to just ignore the common sense argument that a lot of people are having when it comes to this dialogue, and if we're just going to play the technicality game, technically speaking, Noah Lyles is still wrong because the NBA does not refer to their champions as world champions. He does not turn on the TV and see world champions across their head because technically speaking, he doesn't have that.
Bitch. Do they like have it on the shirt? And this is the shit I be talking about, bro. Niggas be talking out they ass, bro. And people they was just defending this man. They're like, oh, he is right, blah, 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 blah. Like, come on. Like,
Technically speaking, has NBA champions across their head, and it's technically been that way for like 25 years now. It hasn't been like that since like the 90s. So
that's
if
crazy.
we're technical about it, yeah, he's technically still wrong. And technically speaking, when he talks about how he doesn't see any flags in the NBA, it's just a USA flag, he's technically wrong because depending on the team that wins, there are several players that represent other countries around the world, and they wear their flags when they win a championship. Now, if you want to make an argument that back in the day when you actually did see world champions across your head, and when the NBA actually did refer to their champions as world champions, that you have a gripe with that back in the 80s and 90s because it's not correct and they didn't go across the world and face other teams, you know, in other leagues. I understand that. I can get behind that. And technically speaking, you would actually still be wrong because you don't know what you're talking about. Technically speaking.
And that's another point I was trying to make. But I be letting people have it because sometimes it don't be worth it. Because people know they be wrong and they still gonna argue with you. They still gonna argue with you. I remember in The Last Dance, simple as The Last Dance, when they was going to like different places and then they ended up in Paris and beat the living dog shit out of them niggas. Like there is, bro, this is like the 90s. I think this is probably 97 or 98. I don't know. One of them hoes. I don't know.
In the 90s and 80s, they actually did go around the world, and when they took NBA representation and they matched up with other teams and other leagues around the world, the team that would come out of the NBA would beat the shit out of every single team around the world.
You see what I'm saying? I fuck with this man, dog.
Hello, everybody. I'm Ahmad Rashad, and championship teams
a
from
young
around the
Ahmad
world
Rashad.
have come to
Goodness.
Paris for the chance to try and take away the Bulls' claim of world champions. But it won't be an easy task for the Greek team, who have already won 11 games in a row this season.
In McDonald's history, this tournament started in 1987 as McDonald's Open, has become the McDonald's Championship. NBA 15-0. There have
And never lost a game in 8 tournaments. 15-0.
been some close calls. And Ahmad Rashad surrounding Michael Jordan. Bulls win at 104-78. Ahmad.
Which then brings us to the other side of the argument, the more common sense part about it, which
Yeah.
is, even though, yes, we understand that the labeling a world champion shouldn't be really official, we understand the concept of these are the best players around the world. And even though we don't have the formality of facing these other teams and other leagues around the world, realistically speaking, the best players in those other leagues will more than likely play in the NBA, which means that they will be an even further talent deficit with a lot of these other teams around the world, which means that they would have absolutely positively no way of competing with any team in the NBA. It would be safe to assume that the team that won in the NBA would be viewed as the world champions. But even more information about Noah Lyles has came out with some of his discrepancies with Adidas and just the way that he believes United States views a lot.
This one made me real mad. I'm like, I thought people was joking, bro. Like, what was the tweet? The nigga said that you want to do what? You want to invite me to an event for a man who has never been to an NBA finals in a sport you don't even care about. Stop putting the mic in front of this nigga's mouth. Stop it. Like, cause like that shit is annoying as fuck. I get being cocky. There's a lot. My favorite player ever is Kevin Garnett. One of the cockiest niggas to ever play the game. But I feel like he always said something when it was something wild. Don't get me wrong, but it matched what they were talking about. If this niggas didn't want to go, he could have just said, "Nah, I'm good." He went on a whole rant for no fucking reason. My bad, y'all. We gonna let it slide for a little
Olympic
bit.
athletes, which is then kind of led down this path of potentially he's just this bitter, jealous athlete that wants to get a bit more recognition. And I actually wanted to give him a really good chance to explain himself, which is why I didn't make this video sooner, as he sat down with Shannon Sharp and gave us a bit of a glimpse into his lens of what exactly he meant and everything that has transpired over the last year.
I think you brought some of this on yourself with that comment.
Hell
what were you
yeah.
hoping to accomplish by making that comment?
I think the last question that you asked, what was I trying to accomplish by making the comment, is the most important one.
Yes.
Everybody sees the clip. Everybody sees the thumbnail. Everybody sees the 16 seconds. But did anybody decide to ask, what was the question that was asked to me? Question that was asked to me is,
Hold on. And this is what I was wondering too, because I was like, I actually want to see the whole clip. Because, you know, if you're on the internet, you know how it be.
ask, what was the question that was asked to me? Question that was asked to me is, how do you feel knowing that when you go back to your own country, unlike these other countries that celebrate their athletes on such a humongous stage, when Boho won his gold medal, he went back to a stadium filled with 30,000 people celebrating him.
Yes.
When I showed up back home on my flight, of course, some people recognized me, and I'm very thankful for that. But there was no 30,000 people.
Now, to be fair to Noah Lyles, if what he said is true, I understand where
Yeah,
he's
I think
coming
he's from like
because the way
DC or
the clip is
some
positioned
shit
and
like
the way
that.
it was presented to the world, it was presented as if like it was unprompted. Like, what's the point of you even saying this? It came out of the blue. It came out of nowhere. Again, it comes across as hate because you're doing that because it didn't make any sense. But if they asked him how did he feel about certain things, then sure, I would thoroughly understand where he's coming from. So I decided to go.
I wouldn't even really understand that because I feel like that's not to me, and somebody could break it down in the comments. If somebody asking you, how would you feel going back home and it wasn't a lot of people, I still feel like that has nothing to do with the fucking NBA. Why? I feel like that's just hate. But
things, then sure, I would thoroughly understand what he's coming from. So I decided to go back and rewatch the interview, and unfortunately, of course, that's not what they asked him at all.
I'm not surprised.
Great stuff out there today. Kind of building on that last answer, you've also said that the medals are obviously important, but they're also a stepping stone, a catalyst to doing more for the sport. Yeah. Not just personally, but for the sport itself. Can you be a little more specific about what you would like to see happen in the sport? What can improve, and what can you do to help foster that change?
So as you can clearly,
this nigga's a fucking liar. Wait, damn it, the hell I knew it. Damn it, the hell I knew it. He's a fucking liar. But this nigga y'all defend.
See nothing about how do you feel or what about Americans and the representation, none of that. It was just talking about the sport in and of itself and winning gold medals and what exactly does that mean. Now, to further some fairness, the reporter did say to build off of the previous question, so I went back and I listened to the original question to make sure I got full context.
Congratulations. Are you the type of person that wants to transcend athletics and become a generational person like a Usain Bolt or a Michael Jordan and perhaps reach out more globally to people that aren't fans of everything?
So that's not what happened.
I can understand the difference because we have a different way in America of seeing our sports. Problem that I had was you were given the title of a world champion to people who weren't facing the world. That's where I drew the line and said that's
don't own that nigga,
because you already have those, but you're giving the title to people who aren't doing that.
Now, everything that Noah Lyles said right there is very important and has a lot of validity and truth behind it as well. Again, if we're talking about the technicality, the
of not facing the world,
world champions, that sometimes does get handed out to athletes that does not deserve that titling. And to him, that is a title that understandably should be held in high prestige. And so in America, we should also hold him in high regards the same way that a lot of other countries hold their Olympic athletes in high regards as well. But
okay, so you just want people to recognize you, and I feel like that's not a good fucking reason to hate. It's not, bro. You're just jealous. That's just what it is.
The problem he has, or at least the two problems that he has, is A, America isn't the rest of the world. And the reason why that's important is because in America, we produce athletes at a much higher rate than other countries around the world, just because that is an export that we produce because of our culture. In other countries, it's not the same. And because it's not the same, they only have one or two people to, it's not the same export that we produce because of our culture. In other countries, it's not the same. And because it's not the same, they only have one or two people to champion and get behind. And so when these players or these athletes, when they win at the Olympics, regardless if it's gold or not, they're going to champion them because these are the handful of representation that they have to talk about, to champion, to celebrate. And then the second problem that you have is that, at least in terms of like the NBA and basketball, and even when it comes to like MLB as well, we just don't view a lot of what happens in the Olympics as competitive basketball, in large part because
I don't know about that, brother. Hold on, brother. Hold on with that. I do think it's competitive basketball. I'm not gonna lie. Yeah.
What gets produced in the NBA is significantly higher when it turns into the level of basketball that's being played in contrast to what's happening from most of the Olympics. And again, a lot of that just has to do with the fact that the best players around the world are all playing in the NBA.
That revealed that while you were negotiating your contract with Adidas, they offered you an invite to a shoe release for Anthony Edwards. But what transpired is what's being reported. How accurate is that?
So what was going on at the time? I was in negotiations for over a year with Adidas to get the contract. Them offering me, to go to Ants for shoe release had nothing to do with the contract. They just thought it would be cool that I would show up as.
So, like I said, this nigga was hating. Like I said,
one of their Adidas athletes. Unfortunately, they asked for it very late. They asked for it at probably about 2 weeks in advance, and I was already scheduled to walk in a Hugo Boss show in Milan.
But you probably should have left it as that. It's that the other stuff where you get into trouble, where people are picking apart what you said, is because, like, hold on, I'm the world champ, and he's getting this, and you have the wherewithal, the forward thinking to see that he's going to be special, and why can't you guys see that with me?
Now, I will say,
Exactly what I'm saying, Shannon Sharp. You should have just said, no, I got something to do. Why the fuck do you have to stay, nigga? That shit is corny as fuck. I'm not gonna lie. This is what I see when I see Noah Lyles. This is what I see, bro. Because it's like I said, bro, I respect any athlete who's out there doing their thing, cocky, know they're knowing that they're the best, knowing that they're this and that. I respect it. Trust me, I do. But I cannot respect a nigga that's quick to run at the mouth when he gets fucking feelings hurt. Or quick to run at the mouth when nobody's talking about what you're talking about. That shit is fucking goofy.
Being very vulnerable in this moment. I felt very unheard at that moment with Adidas. People do a lot of things. What do you do when you feel unheard? You try to shout louder. And I felt that I've had many conversations
that shit's
trying
dumb.
to shout and it hadn't gotten through.
So you're jealous, dog. You're jealous. You are jealous, bro. There's no other way around it. Now, this is my third time re-recording this part of the video because I've been told I'm a bit too harsh in some of my videos on this channel. I'm a bit too critical. I need to be a bit more understanding. So I'm changing.
I'm
trying to be more positive, and
fuck that.
I'm going to be very, very graceful. Try not to call Noah Lyles out of his name or anything like that. When I
call him out of his name. He a bitch ass nigga. He is. He's a bitch ass nigga, and I don't want to see his name or any at all. I don't want to see any videos of him at all.
Give my final synopsis, right? But it's really hard for me to walk away from any of these interviews, any of these interactions, any of these quotes from Noah Lyles and not come to the conclusion that you are just jealous of a lot of the attention, the marketability, the potential amount of money, status that other athletes receive in contrast to you.
Right.
And to be fair, I understand where some of that comes from, right?
Exactly.
Noah Lyles is attempting to be the face of track and field sports, the face of sprinting, the face of American athletes.
But he is forcing it by hating.
And in doing so, he hopes to raise the notoriety, the publicity, the marketability, the amount of money that's being in the sport, potentially transcended so he can uplift everyone else. Again, he speaks about this in several different interviews. He even spoke about this in a Shannon Sharp interview as well.
Yeah.
The marketing
I've seen that.
in the U.S. is different. I feel one of our in the U.S. it turns out when it comes to marketing, entertainment and marketing is the U.S.'s bread and butter.
And I'm actually going to go as far as to say that's actually his main focus, and he actually doesn't give a shit about the NBA at all. He doesn't care about the NBA whatsoever. And I say this because there's literally a moment in this interview where Shannon Sharp asked him about Jokic.
And he was like,
know who that
he was like, I don't know who that is.
Is Nikola Jokic one of the best players in the world?
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know who that is.
But
so he was just hating, bro. Like, come on.
That the titling of being world renowned, world champion, world fastest, whatever, is given to the proper people. And in doing so, that's how he believes he's going to be able to market himself and then market his sport accordingly to help it build and grow. But he can't do that if in America, there's this misplacement of that titling to a completely different sport.
Gotcha.
That they don't deserve it.
Understandable.
Guys, you now have the title of the world's fastest man. What do you do with that title? You tell them, don't you want to have the shoes of the world's fastest man? Don't you want to put those shoes on your feet? I'm wearing the same shoes of the world's fastest man. It's going to make me so fast.
And I understand that, but Noah Lyles, you are suffering the same plight that the WNBA players were struggling with as well.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with your gender, nothing to do with your race, nothing to do with your sexual orientation or your preferences, or at least very little to do with those things, but way more to do with how many eyes can you have on this
Exactly.
sport? How entertaining is it? How many people are actually consuming it? Because that's the only way that it's going to be viewed as marketable, so more money can be pushed into it, so you can then try to elevate it and transcend wherever it's at right now. And the reality of it is very similar to NBA athletes believing that they should receive the same visibility as NBA players or NFL or MLB, et cetera, et cetera. The truth of the matter is that until you can generate enough eyes in doing so, you cannot force it on somebody. You just can't.
You can't.
And I believe that Olympic athletes have a much bigger problem with this because we only see y'all like once every 4 years. Like, we just being honest with ourselves. But the much bigger problem that Noah Lyles you face is trying to get this message across correctly. Because right now, brother, you're doing way more harm than good. You're not progressing the conversation. You're actually taking a tone in a position that's much more aggressive, that's actually having people root against you, not for you,
right?
Which thus means that you're not as marketable as you're trying to make yourself to be. And even though, yes, what you said was technically correct, but doing so unpromptly, just randomly bringing up NBA players into a conversation
that's what I was saying,
again, wasn't asked at all.
That
being the focal point of any conversation that you have about your marketability, bro, that comes across as jealousy, hatred, envy. And listening to a lot of your interviews, I do believe that's where a lot of it is based in.
Yeah.
Even if it is misguided, even if you feel like you're not being heard enough, going down that path, again, doesn't do your cause any justice at all. All that being said, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Also,
what is it?
So if you missed my last video,
oh, we saw it. W video. I actually been avoiding Noah Lyles videos because I didn't want to say nothing and not have all the facts. But this dude, ain't gonna lie, he got the facts together, man. He got me together. One thing I would say, bro, like with the WNBA, even though it took a while, shit takes time. That's one thing I struggle with this content creation shit. That's one thing that I've seen with the NBA. It took a long time for them to really get popping until Magic and Bird put that shit on WNBA. It took them a while to get their shit popping until this new rookie class, Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark going at that little rivalry thing. Shit takes time. So, but you can't try to jumpstart time by hating. I feel like it just makes you look stupid. But we ain't gonna prolong it anymore. This shit was long as it's supposed to be. I appreciate everybody who came through, man. Till next time, I'm out.